Hi, it's Stuart Sutton at Agent Finder, where we use artificial intelligence and human expertise, that's common sense, to identify the most qualified agents for your specific home, and it might not be who you think it is. I'm going to cover something today that you absolutely need to hear. It's absolutely imperative that you get this one right. First of all, let me give you two quick stories, and these will be quick. I went out to visit with a family, and they had a home in a beautiful neighborhood. It was extraordinary. As a matter of fact, one of those neighborhoods that everyone kind of wishes they could live in, and it's kind of on a lot of people's bucket list, or it's on their goals, or whatever the case is. Anyway, when I got to the house, I was a little taken aback. There was literally nothing well maintained. The flooring was in extremely poor condition. The trim really marred up and bashed up. The paint, it looked like it had never been painted. And this was a 20-plus-year-old home. And I could just go on and on and on. You've been in somebody's house where you go to the oven or the dishwasher or whatever, and you can't work it because the knobs aren't there. And this just continued on and on and on. So that house had a very different value than the generic analysis I had done. Now, I never went to a home with a preconceived notion of value because of situations like this, but on paper, that house would have been worth a lot more than it actually turned out that it was. The other scenario I'm going to give you real quick is going to a home in a modest neighborhood. And the home that I went to was absolutely drop dead gorgeous. I mean, the kind that everybody's envious of. The grass, absolutely manicured. Didn't look like there was a single blade out of place. The landscape beautifully mulched and perfectly laid out. Not a leaf out of place on those hedges. You could eat off the floor. Everything was particularly in place. Everything was, upgraded. It had nicer fixtures than you would have expected. The owners had actually built out an outdoor kitchen. That was really before outdoor kitchens were even a thing. The patio was exquisite with beaded pine ceilings. I could go on and on and on. But the bottom line is that house, on paper, was worth far less than we actually sold it for. Now, why am I telling you these stories? Well, because you may or may not fit into one of those categories, and I'm going to go into detail about why it's important that you not pay attention to what I call data-driven analysis. Let me show you. You see, a lot of people take a look at what I call data-driven valuations. These are valuations that are online, and they pull together a lot of data, and it seems really fancy. It seems like they've got all the information they need. They've got the square footage, they've got the size, they've got the bedrooms and the baths and everything they need, and all the sales comparables. But what they don't have is a subjective perspective of the house. You go to Zillow, for example, or Realtor.com, or whoever you're going to, and you look at the valuation that they portray. And may coincidentally be fairly on target, but there's a chance that it's not. Question: has anyone from Zillow ever come up to your house, knocked on your door, and asked to see your house? No. They don't know that you've got a gorgeous water feature that was hand-built. They don't know that you have the nicest landscape in the neighborhood. They don't know that you have brand new hand-rubbed kitchen island made out of gorgeous acacia wood. They don't know any of that. So their valuation is not going to be a market valuation. Could it be close? Well, sometimes it is, yeah. And the tax assessor. Has anyone from the tax assessor's office ever come out to your home and looked at it and made notes and then assessed the value? Of course not. So the question is, do you really think somebody can value your home without seeing it? Well, from pure data, what do they look at? They look at the size, the location, the age, the bedrooms, the baths, the garages, the size of the lot, whether you've got a pool or not. But that doesn't take into account all the things I discussed from those earlier two scenarios, all the incredible improvements that were in the home that aren't noted by Zillow or the tax assessor's office, or the complete lack of maintenance. Those aren't noted by Zillow or the tax assessor's office. I've seen the tax assessor's office have a completely rundown house that was virtually unlivable, virtually the same value as the beautiful home across the street. So data-driven analysis, if you're really going to put a lot of stock in them, you could be disappointed. What about a real estate appraisal? Well, a real estate appraisal can be nice, but bottom line is that it's also data-driven. Now, I used to be an appraiser, and I have the utmost respect for appraisers. But let's face it, they don't have the same subjective perspective. And let's face it, there is true subjectivity in the valuation. You just can't tell me that there's not. What do I mean by subjectivity? Well, when you drive up in front of two houses, and one of them has virtually no landscape, the lawn has not been edged, the grass is growing over the edges, the trees have not been trimmed, there's all kinds of scraggly branches go around at all different heights on the trees. And then you go to the one across the street and it's beautifully manicured. The lawn is impeccable. The trees are beautifully trimmed all the way up. And as you walk to the front door, you note that everything is in perfect place. We hadn't even gotten in the house, and we both know which one you'd pay more for, which one is going to sell for more in the open market. We know that. Real estate appraisers can't see that. They haven't gone to those houses. Now, has your real estate agent gone to those houses? Maybe, maybe not. If you come across an agent who has actually previewed those houses, you're talking to a very professional real estate agent, because most don't do that either. But I will tell you, do not use a data-driven analysis. Don't depend on it. Don't rely on it. Facts and figures and information from a real estate agent are your best source. I've just been doing this too long. I've been a real estate agent and broker, and I've been an appraiser. And guess who I think has a better perspective to value a home to sell on the market? A real estate agent. Now, appraisers are very good at what they do, and they don't have an easy job, but it is data-driven. Facts of sold comparables and how they compare to yours, agents are going to have a better perspective of that. They will have some subjectivity. An appraiser typically doesn't have much subjectivity. I've seen appraisers give pools $30,000 in value that cost $60,000 to install. And I've seen them give $30,000 worth of value to a pool that cost $120,000 to install. How does that make sense? Well, if you own the $120,000 pool, you might not be as happy with that as the other pool owner. But real estate agents have the ability to assess the value based on what buyers will pay. And real estate agents are a little more comfortable with what buyers will pay for versus what they won't pay for, rather than being just data-driven. I hope this is making sense. Real estate agents also do not use active sales as comparables. In other words, you might say, well, that house up the street is on the market for this. Well, that doesn't mean it's going to sell for that. What's it going to end up selling for? That's the real key. Now, active homes on the market can affect where you price your home. If there are a lot of homes on the market and it's very competitive, you might price a little bit lower than you would have if there were only a few homes on the market. So they do play a role, but they don't determine your value. The solds and under contracts determine where you should price your home on the open market. I hope this is making sense. And I'm here to tell you, I have sold many of my own properties, and you cannot be objective. I've heard people say they can, but I've yet to meet anybody who truly could be. I know I wasn't and am not, and I know my wife isn't and is not. As a matter of fact, my wife thinks our houses are worth far more than I do. And I'm not a good judge of that. So bottom line is that when you're dealing with people who are objective, like real estate agents, and subjective because they know what buyers will pay, you've got a really good combination rather than having a totally objective, data-driven analysis. Hope that makes sense. Hope I didn't make you feel too bad about yourself and your judgment of your home's value. But if a real estate agent comes to your house and doesn't have hard facts and information from which you can make a reliable judgment, then you ought to talk to somebody else, because that is a big part of the responsibility that that agent has to you. So do not use data-driven analysis. Use the facts, figures, data, information, and subjectivity that a good real estate professional can give you. And at Agent Finder, we're only going to refer you the best because we use a higher set of standards. So when agents that we refer give you suggestions for valuations, they're going to be based on very solid information. And if 1, 2, or 3 agents give you information about valuations, if they're referrals from Agent Finder, you know absolutely positively that you're on the right track. I did put another video up here for you. This one has to do with how you increase your home value by measuring twice, cutting once, by being prepared in advance, getting ahead of things before you list your home for sale. If you like this video, please hit that like button, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and of course click that bell so that you'll be notified when we put something up. Remember, it's your choice, so make it a powerful day. I hope to see you on the next video.